This is Tucson, Arizona. These are some great facts about the city, and being the city that I grew up in, I'd love to share with you guys some of my stories from my experiences there. All right, Tucson. They are the second largest city in Arizona, only rivaled by Phoenix. If you include all of its surrounding areas, Tucson has a population of almost 1 million. In addition to all the diverse people that live there, it also has a very diverse climate. You'll see all the different seasons, and you'll also see a variety of plants and animal life over there. Tucson is home to the University of Arizona, which also is the school that I graduated at. So yeah, go Wildcats! Tucson resides in a desert. That shouldn't be any surprise to you guys. The desert is called the Sonoran Desert. And the Sonoran Desert has a home to some iconic plants and animals. One of them being the saguaro cactus, which is only found in the Sonoran Deserts. Did you know that? The saguaro cactus, it grows really slow. In fact, when it's born, it only grows between 1 to 1.5 inches during the first 8 years of its life. So you'll always see them as just smaller trunks. And I've heard that depending on how much water a particular saguaro cactus gets, it can take sometimes 50, 70, up to 100 years before they're able to grow their very first arm. So when you see these great saguaro cacti with all of these arms coming out, know that some of those may be well over 100 years old. The saguaro cactus is also home to an entire ecosystem, sometimes within itself. Many birds, such as Gila woodpeckers, will nest inside of the cactus. I've always seen this bird called the cactus wren. They're always flying around the cactus. I'm not sure what bird's on top of this cactus, but hawks may also use the saguaro cactus as a hunting platform. I mean, why not? So you're way up there, you're chilling, and you can see everything in the surrounding area. Tucson is one of the sunniest places in the country. It averages 3,800 hours of sunshine a year. So that's like 86% of the time. Always carry at least 1 or 2 bottles of sunscreen in my backpack, because during the summer months you could burn so quickly. Water, also carry water wherever you go. Even if it's really hot, I mean, there's times where you're just opening up that car door when it's been sitting there for like, 1 or 2 hours. And sometimes the car ride is so quick, like 15 minutes, that by the time the AC actually cools the car down, you've already gone to the next stop. But that's how it be sometimes in Tucson. The good news though is that it does get year-round different seasons. So winter, yeah, it gets really cold in the desert. Some people don't always realize that who are traveling there. In January, February, even up to April, I have seen snow fall in Tucson, and oftentimes it doesn't stick, but when it does, it is absolutely gorgeous to see Tucson when you have the snow on the ground. One day it snowed and I had to, of course, go to school. Yeah, they didn't give us a snow day. It also is able to get fog on the rare days that it's really moist and cold. But the biggest thing that I miss about the desert is the summer monsoons. So every year, Tucson receives its significant amount of rain through the monsoon moisture. So once the high pressure kind of sits around the Four Corners region, it will actually start pulling all this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of California, and it'll just pull it into the Tucson area. And because of the way that the mountains are arranged in Tucson, they almost form like a ring around Tucson. all that moisture will push up the mountains, whether it's the Catalinas or the Rincon, Santa Rita Mountains, and you'll see all these storms starting to gather from the mountains and push their way into the Tucson Valley. It's kind of weird. So prior to 2008, the Weather Service used to always declare the official start of monsoon season as the first days were the first 3 days in a row where the monsoon moisture would be at a dew point of 54 higher. That's when the monsoon would start. But so many times you'd see like 2 days of just downpours, but because the third day would be dry, they're like, no, monsoon hasn't started yet. So that confused people. So now the Weather Service just says, you know what, monsoon season every year, it's June 15th through September the 30th. Whether it rains on the 15th or not, doesn't matter. They just keep it consistent now. When it does rain, the monsoons can drop a ton of downpours. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, there's times where the sun's shining and it's pouring. There's times where you just see these lightning strikes. Again, I miss that weather so much. The monsoon rains will also bring out a lot of animals. I know I've driven on the roads and had to be wary of like the snakes that would come out. And even in the house I used to live in, I mean, I would see so many snakes just on a daily basis, including a few rattlesnakes, one of them in my house. And this one right here, I was trying to get into my car and this rattlesnake's like, oh, you think you're going to work? Think again. So anyway, back to the monsoons. Because of how many lightning strikes are in the area, they actually invented the National Lightning Detection Network at the University of Arizona in 1998. So yes, shout out to U of A. So in the U of A area, there is also a restaurant in downtown Tucson called El Charro. So the legend of the chimichanga goes like this. One of the original owners of El Charro, many decades ago, she was making a burrito. And when the burrito fell into the hot oil by accident, I guess she was about to shout out this, Mexican curse word, but she changed directions very quickly and called it a thingamajig, which would be chimichanga, and that what it's been coined since. I'm not sure if that's really how it started, but it is a fantastic dish that, as long as you don't mind a little bit of some grease, it tastes great. El Charro Cafe also has a lot of other great Mexican dishes that are very, very authentic, and you're really going to enjoy that experience in Tucson. You do have to make reservations or just be prepared to wait as a walk-in. So I'd say plan to wait about 30 minutes to an hour if you're planning to have dinner over at El Charro. Very worth it though. The mountains. So what makes Tucson so beautiful is that it's kind of surrounded by this ring of mountains. The ones that I always remembered would be the Catalina Mountains. And they were, for me, always the tallest ones because we were closer to the northern part of the city. The Catalinas do reach up to 9,000 feet in elevation, and Mount Lemmon is that spot that reaches the highest, and we would drive there sometimes during the winter just to see the snow. People do ski there. It's just beautiful though, just to enjoy that drive, to see the city all times of the year. But then if you're going there during the winter, you'll see the snow just slowly starting to collect, and as you go higher and higher up, then you just find yourself in this winter wonderland, and you forget sometimes that you're in this drier desert climate because it looks like, well, a winter wonderland. One of the benefits of living in Tucson is that it's relatively cheaper than its Phoenix counterpart, and especially out here in California where I live in. As of 2022, average rent in Tucson is about $1,300, which is still actually double what I used to pay back in the 2000s when I lived there. Let's wrap this video up with some of the animals that I've seen in the desert. Tucson's home to so many animals such as coyotes. I've seen road runners. The cats loved it in this one shot. They're almost confused, like, what is this bird almost as big as us doing over here? We've also seen bobcats in our neighborhood, actually just right next to our house with her little kitten right here. So be careful when you're in the desert. You know, watch your shoes, make sure you don't have scorpions in your shoes or on the floor when you're barefoot. Again, I've seen snakes wrapped inside like Amazon packages outside my house, so you will not be disappointed if you go to the desert for wildlife. If you are looking for seeing some of the desert animals, but in more of a contained and safe place, I do recommend going to the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. I've gone there on 3 occasions when I was little. I loved animals, and you'll actually learn a lot too about the desert. So check that out. It's on more of the west part of Tucson, and again, it's called the Arizona Desert Museum. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot about this very unique city of Tucson, Arizona. And please check out more of these city guides as they come out. Have a good one.